I would like to welcome you guys to the Hyperlocal Marketing Strategies for Small Businesses webinar. Thank you, Pina, and thank you, Marlon, for joining us today. You are the first Canadian professionals that show up on our platform ever. So that's exciting too. And very, very exciting to learn about what you are about to present. So I wouldn't like to be disrespectful with the presentation. I'm gonna let you guys introduce each other, and then we go to the next step. Pina, ladies first.
Oh, that will be me.
Thank you. So I'm Pina Russo. I have worked in the past with Tide years ago when I launched my book, Digital Mompreneur, and the Chamber in San Diego was very supportive of this initiative. And now I'm back with my partner, Marlon Moreno from Bold Magazine and Bold Publishing. And like Tide said, we are based out of Toronto. And today we are going to talk about marketing strategies to localize your product or your service. And maybe people are questioning, okay, why Toronto and San Diego? Why to talk about localization when these are very distant markets? But I believe there are a lot of similarities, and a lot of the issues that we face here, other small businesses are experiencing in the United States as well. So with that, I'm gonna give the word to Marlon. So I'll pass it to Marlon so he can actually start his introduction.
Thank you, Pina. Thank you very much. I'm very, very honored to be part of this conversation. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been in the publishing industry for almost 16 years. And before that, I was in private banking. I was mentioning to Pina that this is exciting, and what brings us together, whether despite the fact that we're in another country, is that as a community, being Latin American or being Latino, and the other thing that binds us together is the resilient spirit of an entrepreneur. That as an entrepreneur, you have to constantly reinvent yourself, and you're going to be going through extreme highs and extreme lows, but we never give up. The one thing, and I'm going to say this for full disclosure, one of the individuals that I truly deeply admire is Pina. She's been my best MBA professor since I have actually, been tinkering with the idea of being an entrepreneur for so long. And I have the best MBA skills, coming from Pina. So I think we're going to be able to share my humble insights, but you're going to be able to walk away with a wealth of knowledge and hunger for more of, what Pina has to share.
Thanks.
Excellent. No, thank you again for joining us today. And Marlon, before I forget, I'm going to have to make an introduction with a colleague of yours in Chicago. He has also a publication, and I think it will be a good match for you guys to talk about potential collaboration and stuff.
Absolutely.
So, Pina, would you like to start the presentation?
Yes. So the conversation today is all about hyperlocal marketing or localization. And I think people are looking today is like, okay, give me practical insights on what can I do now to survive and then actually to recover and move with my business, whether it's online or an offline business. So I think that I'm going to give the part of the practical things that you need to be looking at as a business owner. And Marlon is going to be giving the perspective from the travel and publishing industries on what you should be doing. So because we are going to present a video today that is part of one of our e-learning programs on luxury marketing, I'm going to be very specific on what tactics to do. And then Marlon, his recommendations. Then we are going to watch this video that is based on what to take from the brand Made in Italy to localize your own strategy. And at the end, we're going to have a chance for a Q&A if there is any questions from the audience. Perfect. So in terms of what should an entrepreneur should be looking at right now to localize the strategy is, first of all, look at your cash to debt ratio, in what position your company is today. And it's very important to understand, if you have lots of cash, what do you do with that? You save it all, you start investing now. What do you do in that scenario? Or on the other hand, if you are running out of cash and have a lot of debt, what is out there in California, for instance, or with San Diego, with local governments that allow you to get access to small business loans? And I understand, Taide, that in the US right now, like here in Canada, there is a lot of support for small businesses, for businesses that are actually been in operation, that have been profitable, that they have history, and they actually qualify for this kind of incentives. So it's very important to take advantage of that. It's a unique moment to borrow money and to start repaying in a year. That wouldn't be happening 6 months ago. Nobody would give money to a small business and with these kind of flexible conditions. So the first thing to look at your debt to ratio conditions in your business right now, and understand what is your 80-20. That is the second thing that you should be looking at. What the 80% of your revenue, how is it generated? Because then you need to focus more your energy, your investment, and the funding that you get into fueling that those activities that generate 80% of your revenue right now. Because more than likely, these conditions are going to stay for a while, or probably your business has evolved so fast that your new 80-20 is here to stay. A lot of businesses here in Toronto, for instance, they are not operating from their physical location. They are operating from someone's house, basement, with a computer and someone shipping products. So probably they have reduced a fixed cost. So that's what you need to also be looking at. What is that new business model? Third thing, you need to communicate more than ever with your customers, with the customers that you never had, but you want to have. How can you communicate with them? And to find partners in other industries. Like, for instance, if we were talking about this in another webinar, if you are a tour operator, how can you help local restaurants? Well, tour operators have a humongous database of customers and past customers, and they can connect with them and let them know about local offers and experiences. So that's a very important one. Do not be quiet, don't stay silent, and have a communication plan in place. And the last one is, this is a great opportunity to to form your board of directors for your business. There is a lot of people that are willing and able to consult for free because they want to help other businesses. So this is the right time to reach out and find those experts that will help you craft again your business proposition and that model that you need to survive. So those are very basic things, but they are doable, and you can start doing them now to start localizing your offer.
So what I find interesting, and this is a conversation that, sorry to jump in, that we've been having with Pina, is that, this pandemic, this particular, moment that we're going through has allowed us to rethink on how we do business. How do we approach everything from a local perspective, from a, from a community perspective to...
Sorry, no, this is my phone. There was something on it. Go ahead, Marlon, sorry.
No, I don't know what happened. I love the dynamics of, digital, going live, really, because there's no pause and pre-record.
There's no edit.
It's as it comes, so where was I? I was just sharing that what this has allowed us to rethink the way we do business. And part of that strategy of, all those elements that Pina mentioned, if we as a business thought of it from an inward to an outward point of view, now we have to look into how do we do business at a local level. It's rethink of the idea, okay, how do I support my local restaurant, even though, you know, it's the restaurant that I pass by every time that I go home, but I never been able to eat. You know, how do I go and I visit that wellness spot? I'm not going to be going to Thailand for a little while to do, you know, a wellness retreat. I'm not going to go to Miami, but how do I support that local wellness, you know, center that is just around the corner from where I live? So if you bring it all together, and I can only speak from the industry that I navigate, which is, you know, it is the publishing media industry, and specialize in the travel industry, which is one of the hardest industry that was hit by the pandemic. You know, we're not able to travel at the moment, you know, from to our favorite places. You know, a couple of months ago, I actually had a plan to go to New York, and, you know, I canceled last minute just out of intuition. I didn't know what was happening in New York. I just wanted to go away for the long weekend. And suddenly I thought, you know what, you know, might as well stay at home and just see, you know, just feel it out. But, you know, what's going to happen now is we're rethinking the way we're doing business. So in a few months, you know, obviously here in Canada, we're going to be able to experience spring/summer. So what, don't laugh because it's true. Right now we're in the core of the winter, but what we're going to be able to do is we're going to start traveling locally. We're going to start traveling within the provinces or within the states. We're going to start supporting local hotels. You can do staycations. You're going to see a number of offers from your local hotels for people to come and stay. You know, probably you're not going to pay 150, but you're going to get a great offer for the weekend. Pay two nights, get a third night for free. So those are the kind of promotions that you're going to be able to see to, you know, reignite the local economy. If you are in the other industry that has been extremely affected, has been the hospitality industry. I don't know, you know, when it comes to San Diego or California specifically, but one of the things that, you know, we have seen here in Canada is that every Wednesday people are ordering takeout, and it's, you know, every Wednesday has been nominated to support the local restaurants, the local, you know, sushi place just around the corner, or the dumpling place, or the, you know, the Mexican taco place, and that brings a sense of community, you know, and it allows us to reach and talk to people that we would have otherwise never considered to be engaged with. And this is what Pina was mentioning in one of her points, is reach out to the industries that you would have never thought of collaborating with.
Yeah, I think that's where all those synergies are. And another initiative that is interesting that last week Montreal launched, the city of Montreal, is they have something called like the Blue Basket. So they are able to put together offers from many local shops, like La Boulangerie, the gelato place, a local shoemaker. And there is a variety of things that you can put on that basket, and you receive it with better prices at it gets shipped home to your place. So there are a number of things that could go very well if there is collaboration and if there is communication between many actors, and if there is someone that is orchestrating it. Like what you're doing, Taide, with these webinars every week, you bring the community together, and people that maybe didn't know each other, well, we met at this webinar because you did this question, or something else happened during that conversation. So this is how we keep the communication alive, and we know what's going on, because we cannot isolate and just read bad news. We need to reinvent, and we need to do something else as well. So having said that, Marlon, do you have any other points?
Yeah, I wanted to bring another interesting point and this is about cross collaboration. And I always like this idea of cross collaboration with people that you never thought of, which is, you know, I always make an emphasis. If within my community, I have a talent or I have a skill, what can I do for others, and what can they do for me in return during these special times? Because as entrepreneurs, we relied on the support of every single other entrepreneur in the ecosystem. So I'll give an example. If you have a local restaurant and you do fabulous food, and, you know, and I can tell you from a media outlets during the times that I have traveled to different destinations, and we get invited to experience local dining activities, recreations, and able to come back home and sell these experiences, to an international audience. I think is key right now to retool, rewire the way we actually think of those experiences and provide them for our local community, because we want to be able to showcase what we are made of as a community. So if you're a great chef, if you have a great mom and pop local restaurant that everyone's talking about, reach out to a writer, reach out to your local newspaper or magazine and say, listen, what can we do for you to collaborate with me and write a review or write an article on my dining experiences, and get it out there, and you cross promote each other on your different social platforms, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn. So you create a bond, and again, you collaborate with people that you would have never otherwise thought about in your community.
Yeah, I think that's something that people are willing to do, especially local media outlets. They also need to provide a positive story. And what better than supporting all those small businesses? And even if you are thinking to start a business, this is a great time as well, because you're going to find that journalists, local media outlets, and more people are willing to collaborate than in normal times, where people wouldn't have the time or wouldn't even respond to your email because you are trying to launch a business. So you're in the perfect position to do something like that.
From I think your point number 4 is that this is the perfect time to rethink your business strategy. From a personal perspective, I've been in the publishing industry for quite some time, and our most precious and valuable asset has always been a print magazine. Even though everyone is on a mobile device, whether it's an iPhone or tablet or a computer, our precious item has always been the print magazine. So now, we're really forced to rethink our business strategy. And now, we find ourselves that I have to rethink about, okay, what kind of content can I produce that is not what is out there already existing in the digital, sphere, and how fast can I get it to market so I'm still relevant? And this has allowed me an opportunity to re-engineer, move resources around, and say, okay, if we thought of doing 10 print runs this year, we're only going to do 7 this year, and it's just because of circumstances.
Yeah. Thank you, Marlon, for sharing. Taide, if you agree, I can share my screen now.
Yes, please go ahead, Pina.
So, as I mentioned before, this is the last module of one of our e-learning courses called Luxury Marketing. So this is learning from the principles of the brand made in Italy. How can you take those principles and apply to create a unique value proposition? So I'm gonna do this exercise here of sharing my screen. Yeah, desktop 1. And if you guys can let me know when you can see it, I will play. Can you see it now? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's get started. And at the end, we can come back for any questions that the audience may have. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
And this is the bonus section that I mentioned at the very beginning of this program that you were going to get, experiencing Made in Italy. So how come I'm including Made in Italy here in this program that we've been talking about, selling paradise, selling DR, selling Antigua? What is Italy doing here? Well, it's a personal preference, but also just the term Made in Italy is one of the most popular Google searches in the brand category, third after Coca-Cola. So there is something that we need to learn about Made in Italy, and I'm gonna try to make it short and sweet and just give you just what you need, because I don't wanna overwhelm you with information. I just want you to transition through visuals
and to explain what has been done and how it's being used, so you can also apply it to everything that you are doing in terms of marketing a destination, a product, something that is unique. So welcome to Experiencing Made in Italy. Remember when we talk about local pleasures at the beginning of the presentation? Now we are going to talk about art, fashion, food, and music as local pleasures in the Made in Italy brand. Start talking about local pleasures and sensory branding in Italy starts with the scenery and what is very common to find and what parts and what elements of this brand Made in Italy have been taken outside the country and been part of movies, commercials, and everything else that promotes a certain lifestyle. And here it is, the iconic Fiat 500. We cannot think of a scenery of Italy without this iconic little car. Let me give you a little bit of a story about the Fiat 500 or La Cinquecento, how it's said in Italy. So the Fiat 500 was introduced by Fiat in 1957 and produced under this name until 1975. It was designed by a guy called Dante Giacosa. The Cinquecento was marketed as a cheap, functional, and economical town car for the post-war Italy. The original Cinquecento measured just over 9 feet long. But despite its small size, the Cinquecento proved to be very popular, and almost 4 million were produced from launch to 1975. The Fiat 500 or Cinquecento is unmistakably Italian, like the Vespa. The image of the Fiat 500 is universally linked with Italy. Deriving from the original Fiat 500 Topolino, this car has been showcased in movies as La Dolce Vita and many, many, many others, and in many commercials. So, Fiat 500. Can you find something that is iconic as the Fiat 500 in the place that you are trying to promote? What is iconic? What is iconic for the locals? Or what is being recognized internationally as an element of that culture? Think of the Fiat 500 and what is the Cinquecento of other places? Queen V. The Queen V is the Vespa. But why the Queen? The model was inspired by a bee. So that's how it has been shaped, the Vespa. Another iconic vehicle from Italy. And it's interesting because after the war, Italy couldn't produce any more military equipment or anything related to war equipment. So these people and these companies that were producing military equipment found themselves, okay, what do we do now? We cannot make ships, we cannot make airplanes, so what do we do? So Italy is being known by the quality and innovative design. So along with the Cinquecento, another medium of transport was created, the Queen V or the Vespa. Piaggio, the company that created Vespa, was initially founded in the late 19th century, but after the war, Enrico Piaggio, or the Second World War, Enrico Piaggio decided to get into the motorcycle business to meet the need for reliable but affordable transport with the cities. In fact, the Vespa played a key role in rebooting Italy's economy. Piaggio approached this guy named Corradino Dascanio to design the new bike. Dascanio felt that motorcycles were too bulky, dirty, and unreliable. So he set about making a two-wheeled vehicle that didn't feel like a motorcycle. He moved the gears to the handlebars for convenience and put the engine under the seat. And that's the shape of the bead that we've been talking about, to keep the riders and their clothes protected from oil and grease. The Vespa was born. It got its name, which means wasp in Italian, from the fact that early versions sounded like an insect buzzing. So again, two mediums of transportation developed after the Second World War that have made Italy known and that represent part of the visual brand identity of the Made in Italy. Can you think of the destination that you're trying to promote? What is iconic and what is being recognized already internationally? This is something that will help you frame the strategy of the destination that you are trying to sell and the experience. Wine treasures. Wine is part of every culture in the Mediterranean. In the case of Italy, it invites you on how to experience a town with certain food, certain grapes, and certain kind of wines. What can you think that is iconic to the destination that you promote, that it could be a wine or another type of drink? In the case of the brand Made in Italy, this is so strong that invites you on how to Chianti. And how to Chianti is not only to open a bottle of wine that is being produced in that region of the Tuscany. How to Chianti is how to enjoy pleasures of food, of culture, of sitting in a kitchen where a local person is cooking for you and telling you a story. That sells a luxury experience. And these dedicated journeys is what the luxury consumer is looking for. So find what is your wine treasure and write down what makes it unique and how much do you think people would be able or will be willing to pay for it. When we talk about Italian products and destinations in Italy, we cannot think of anything else but luxury integrity. And the luxury integrity is created by packaging. And I have to say, everything that I know about packaging, I have learned from Italian brands. Let's take a look at this example here. On the left, you have a bottle of San Pellegrino water. On the right, you have real Canadian water. Both countries are recognized to have the best quality of drinkable water. Actually, Canada is the only country of the world with the biggest reserves of drinkable water. So why Italians can sell a bottle of water for $3 or $4 and Canadians can only sell it for 50 cents? It's packaging. That is the whole idea of creating luxury integrity, is to tell a story through its package. San Pellegrino brand has been around for 120 years. But it's not because it's been around for 120 years what makes it iconic. It's the distinctive logo, the way they produce their commercials, the way they have partnered within the food industry to portray it as a luxury brand that is represented everywhere in the world in the same way. Can real Canadian compete with San Pellegrino? I would say yes, but it needs a lot of work on the packaging, on the value proposition, on what is Canadian water. It's going to take a lot of time because you need to educate your stakeholders, your consumer, everybody on what is Canadian water and why it's so valuable and why you need to pay a premium to drink Canadian water as you pay a premium to drink Italian water. So that's luxury integrity. It's building a brand that is so sustainable that after 120 years, still one of the most iconic waters in the world versus real Canadian. Real Canadian, you had a lot of work to do. But you know what? San Pellegrino also has the advantage of being under the umbrella of the Made in Italy. And that it's in itself represents quality and tells you a story about a brand, a family that started making it. And that's why the brand is so important and so valuable around the world, because everyone is being able to tell a story within a region of Italy on how they have produced from many years ago certain product or service. So we've been talking about a Made in Italy brand, and I want to quickly go through 4 categories that have helped the Made in Italy brand to go global, to be recognized, and that still make that people pay a premium for each of one of this. In the tourism category, we have the brand Italia itself, or Italy, the brand Roma, for the city of Rome, capital of the country, and Visit Florence. So these 3 are the most iconic, intangible brands in the country, recognized around the world. These have allowed the Italian economy to move forward thanks to the millions of visitors that come to the country every year. Just Florence receives 17 million visitors a year, and it's a very tiny, small city. My favorite, by the way. Roma, or Rome, receives around 27 million visitors a year as well. The other category that has made Italy or Italian brands iconic are these luxury brands, Gucci, Prada, and Salvatore Ferragamo. What has made them successful is that they are consistently producing high quality items. They have also partnered early with brand ambassadors. Actually, I think they created this thing with brand ambassadors because they have dressed and put shoes on iconic people from their time, like in the 50s and the 60s, with people in politics in the US, Hollywood. The movie industry has helped a lot these brands to become universally recognized. In food, we have Martini, and that's to make your spritz delicious refreshment in the summer. The San Pellegrino water that we just talked about. And in the cheese category, Parmigiano Reggiano. I can talk about food brands and fashion brands forever. Like I need another 6 hours just to talk about each of them and tell you what their value proposition is. What is important to understand here is that they always deliver the same quality. They are authentic and they can be found in their place of origin. In automotive, we have these 3 iconic luxury brands, Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Maserati. When they started producing these cars, it were by special orders only. Now they are, I don't want to say mass produced, but they have increased the numbers of the cars they manufacture because there is an increasing number of new millionaires every year. Just to think about it, in China, every 90 minutes, there is a new millionaire. So why all these brands are in the luxury category? Well, first of all, they represent something that cannot be found elsewhere. That is something of quality, perceived high quality, is always produced in the same way. So you can always expect the same quality. Scarcity, there is not many of them. And third is how they have been working partnerships outside the country to have these brands recognized, to have these brands wear, to have these cars driven. So that's how Made in Italy continues to be a powerful brand. And anything under this umbrella has this perception of high-end, of luxury, and something of quality that people want to experience. Can you experience Made in Italy out of Italy? Yes, with some products, and some of them is better to have the experience in the country. I can talk about Made in Italy another 5 hours, but what I want you to think about from this particular slide is what makes your product, your service, your destination luxurious, and how sustainable is this in time? Is something that you can talk about in 5 years?
Sorry, I think I have two videos going on. Let me just put it again.
Something that is just a trend and people are not going to purchase it or experience it in 2 years' time. So I want you to think in these categories, in food, tourism, and fashion, not automotive, because not all countries are producing cars, but what else is produced that is unique and that's perceived of quality and can be sustainable in time? And this is my favorite city in the world. My number 1 city in the world is Florence. Selling Florence. How easy is for me to sell Florence when it's my favorite city in the world? It is tiny. It has less than 500,000 people. but it has over 1 million pieces of art from the Renaissance and 18% of the art assets of Italy. This tiny city has so much to do, so much to see, and everything in it breathes luxury. Is it a cheap city? No, it's not cheap. Florence is not cheap. It's actually very expensive. It's booming with Airbnb and luxury Airbnbs. Many villas have been transformed as boutique hotels outside of the city because it's packed. There is no more room to build anything else. It is an amazing place to find anything related to design, from fashion, shoes, clothing, interior design, anything. And I have actually seen many marketers from around the world going to Florence to find inspiration to create new packaging, to create new ways to make storefronts, and even how to create new ways of portray, and even to create new restaurants and how to showcase food. That's why this place is important to visit. If you are a marketer, is because you need to innovate. Go to Florence. The Florence experience elements. These are the elements that I have identified that are common not only to the city of Florence, but that you can also take when designing your marketing strategy. And the elements are availability, quality, and authenticity. What is availability in this context? Availability means that you can have the experience most of the times. Some experiences are seasonal, but they can be available for people to experience. Because if you are promoting something that is available once every 10 years, you don't really have a product to showcase or a service to offer. So make sure that the offer or the experience is always available, and that can be customizable. The quality. People pay for quality. Quality food, quality entertainment, quality accommodation. So what's your destination has to offer in terms of quality? Is there something that you can actually showcase in regards of quality? Do it, because that's part of your value proposition. And the third element is authenticity. And what makes something authentic is something that cannot be copied or replicated or duplicated. From Rinascimento to the 21st century, the Tuscan region has a tradition of making things right. From fashion to interior decoration or food, Florence is the benchmark for everyone. And when we talk about authenticity, we need to talk about also something that is called DOP, or Protected Denomination of Origin, in Italian, Denominazione di Origine Protetta. And this is a label that Italians put on their products to certify that this product comes from that particular region. So it's very important for an Italian product to have this DOP, or Protected Denomination of Origin, in the label, because that guarantees authenticity and quality of the product. And even restaurants outside Italy have received a similar denomination that the country actually gives them, so they can deliver a true Italian experience outside the country. Another denomination that is, or classification that is given to in the food category, is to wines, and is the IGT, or Typical Geographic Indication. So that tells you where a wine is produced, and only with certain type of grapes in a certain location can have those names. That is the case of Chianti, that has 3 levels of authentication. Experience Florence. So I'm going to give you examples of how the city of Florence has categorized what to do in the city, and is between attractions and activities. So this is something that hopefully gives you an idea on how to also break down the kind of attractions and activities that you can find in the destination that you're trying to promote. So on the left, we have the attractions: museum, churches, monuments and piazzas, itineraries outside the city, tours inside the city, and typical products. So those are considered for them in the attraction category. Then for that, there is activities as well, like where to eat, shopping, food and wine, cooking classes, studying in Florence, and wedding planning. So these are different categories that you can utilize to find different personas that are looking to do this kind of activities in the destination they are promoting, like wedding planning or studying something. people want to learn something of the culture that they are visiting. It's either the language or how to prepare a special dish or how to get into special kind of craft or on how to make something that is unique to that region. There is always something to do. And again, this ties into the 4 elements that you need to think about when creating your marketing strategy: what to see, what to do, what to eat, and where to stay. So again, look for the attractions and activities in that destination and break it down for different personas or different target buyers.
Okay, so I think this was most of the part of the presentation that we wanted to bring today. And basically what we are trying to cover is, okay, take a place that is already iconic, that is recognizable, and that is easy for you to do the translation. Okay, if they have done good in wine and promoting a wine destination, what can we do in California where you have Napa Valley or any other region that also have wineries? What can we make to package those experiences that for us is maybe normal to have, but for many people it's not, and even for local people. And something that we discussed with Marlon the other day was like how to package experiences at an entry level point with a price that is actually affordable now, so people can try for the first time what you offer. Because maybe you are too premium for many people, but having like a mini version of that product or service can help you complete the experience for those that never have the disposable income to do so.
I mean, I love that the video, and it was absolutely, breathtaking to actually see all those Italy images, and it's a destination that, we're going to go back and travel and experience. But I think in essence, just to add to your comments, Pina, is, we take this example of your beautiful video, and how do we translate that into what we as entrepreneurs offer? So again, I go back to the whole idea of, if I am a local restaurant that, I've been doing, a mom and pop style, beautiful food, and, I always use local farmers, it's now your time to tell this story. Hey, you know what? For so long, I have always engaged with my local farmers, with the local community, with the local butcher, the fishmongers, and here's what I'm able to offer. And not just to tell this story for an international audience, but how do I tell it to my community? So it goes, I was making some notes while I was watching your video and listening. So in tune is, how do I tell my story? What is my business about? How do I repackage it? How do I connect with other actors in my community? There's always a sense of, now more than ever, the need to collaborate. What kind of message, what is unique about my product? And, often I always, I tell Pina this, that I often think that I publish just a magazine, but at the end of the day, what I've been able to, to do is to step back and say, hey, you know what? I publish a beautiful travel magazine, and I offer unique experiences. I offer voices that no other travel publication out there is able to offer. So if you make this a hyper local concept, is, what is my local spot able to offer? And unfortunately, I'm not able to offer right now, but what can I offer to the local audience? Do I create packages, and do I create a little, postcard with, wellness tips, that things that you can do, to pass time as the economy recovers? How do I keep reconnected?
Yeah, absolutely. And the other concept that is important here is that, yes, many countries have already relevant country brands, relevant city brands, and perhaps this is right now the opportunity to make relevant the Made in California, as the Quebec government is doing, is Made in Quebec. But to build that, it's not just a government telling you, oh, this is proudly made in California. It's the local entrepreneurs actually believing and being proud of producing in that region, and the local consumer being proud of consuming made in California. I think that's the concept here.
And what I love about the video, Pina, and thank you so much for putting it together and for sharing it with us as a marketer. I can tell you that it was a very well-made piece. And I think that a lot of the concepts that you're sharing in that video can be translated at over, you know, like 101 level, if you want to put it that way. Because in the video, we're talking about big brands and city strategies and stuff to market themselves to the public. But just like Marlon said earlier, the way that you tell your story about your business, the way that you tell your story about your product, it's what's going to help you to differentiate from other brands. And at the same time, it's going to help you to connect with your target audience, because oftentimes happens that once you get familiarized with the story behind the brand, even if you're like a mom and pop business, people connect with you and says like, oh my God, this family have such a great story that I want to support them. You know, so that was the first concept that you touched in your video. And I think it's very important that we highlight it right now, because that's what's going to make a difference in this time of crisis or transformation. Like, you need to start thinking about how you're going to reposition your brand in the marketplace after this, and learn those ways. Like, the storytelling has been there for years, but it's time to like go back to the drawing board and start, you know, building that story that is going to help you to connect with your target audience.
Actually, there is something. Oh, sorry, Marlon, I didn't hear you. Go ahead.
That's okay, because you don't always have the same, you know, we communicate mentally. So, but go ahead. You go ahead.
I actually, I don't know when was this, like maybe a month ago, Tide published something about a taco place, a fish taco.
Yes.
And I'm following them on Instagram. Yeah, Casanovas fish taco. And I'm like, why am I so far apart from California that I cannot have tacos delivered by these people to me in Toronto? Because what they produce, how they showcase it, and the fact that you share it, like, that helps promote the
business. And let me tell you something real quick about Hector, which I want to say hi to him. Hector has a very high quality fish taco. I think it's the best one in San Diego County. And he has living out of catering. After what happened like a month ago, all of his events got canceled. Yeah. And he needed X amount of dollars to survive throughout the month of March. And he decided to start pitching his family pack online. He needed to sell 40 family packs for the rest of the month. He ended up selling 45 in 1 week.
Wow.
And then, you know, for like probably like 2 or 3 years, I told him like, you should start selling this online. So like less than 2 weeks ago, he sent his first shipping like family pack to Chicago.
Wow.
So now if you go to his site, to his Facebook page, Casanova Fish Tacos, you can actually get the family pack, which is, I believe, $50 plus shipping, and you can feed 4 people.
You know, what's interesting, just to touch on the big point and just to rewind a little bit, even though the video had the big brands, is at the end of the day, they tell a story. And the takeaway here is, how do we tell a story from our own small entrepreneurial perspective? And I think people are more inclined nowadays to be loyal to your brand if there's an emotional connection to it. If you tell this story, listen, California has been one of my favorite states, you know, to promote here for the Canadian audience. You know, it's very progressive. You know, it has one of the most beautiful wineries close to, you know, close to home, close to in North America. You know, when I was there a few months ago, I can tell you that the whole farming industry and the whole concept of, you know, supporting local farmers is big, and it tells a story. And if you go historically speaking, you know, you think about how many Latin Americans have contributing to the developing of the farming industry, and that's a story in itself.
So powerful.
It is powerful. It's quite quite moving. So at the end of the day, we need to tell these stories, and they add value to what we're offering as a product.
Yeah, and sometimes what small businesses are afraid of is like, I don't know how to tell my story, and it's probably true. They don't have the marketing tools to tell that story properly. And we advise other businesses in another webinar, Marlon and myself, is if you are a journalist, if you are someone that right now don't have the scale of business that you used to have, start making small packages so you can cater to those small business owners and tell them, I can write your story, I can pitch it to local media. You need someone like that. So if you are able to prepare those packages and provide them to the small businesses, you can help them craft the story. Because yes, it's super necessary, but it is difficult to actually come with the right words, the right video, the right images. You need someone that can help you with that so you can focus on your core business.
Yeah, that's so true. And it is important that we highlight that it doesn't have to be like a super developed work. I don't know if you guys have heard of this YouTube channel that went viral like 3 months ago, Cocina desde tu rancho or something like that. This lady,
Yes, yes,
in Mexico.
I follow her.
You know, so when I'm going with this is like this lady has no big production behind. It's probably like the niece or the daughter or something recording her, and she's making food not even in a kitchen.
No,
You know, it's like a horno right there. You
yeah,
know?
it's interesting. Sorry, because I get emotional when I see her, because she could be anybody's mother or grandmother, and she goes to her patio, she picks the fruit, and she tells you, here's what I'm gonna make for you. And you look at it, there's no production, and this is just like an old-fashioned clay stove.
I know some chefs that have invested thousands of dollars in production and agencies and marketing. This lady got over 1 million subscribers in a month.
Yeah, so, authenticity. It's authentic.
It's authentic,
there
exactly.
You go. Yeah.
So I think that's when we think about storytelling and how you package your products and stuff, you have to put your heart and soul into what you do, and eventually people will pick it up, And the other thing that I wanted to highlight from the video before I forget, because I took some notes here, is that I love when you talk about being luxurious, and that doesn't mean that you have to have like a super expensive packaging and stuff, but it's just like translating that storytelling into your product or service. So everything goes in hand and it communicates, and that's pretty much your brand recognition. Like when someone think about your business or your products and services, you want them to start clicking with some key points that you want to communicate with those, with that message. And I think that's important for small businesses to think about moving forward, that how they're gonna communicate that value of quality and authenticity, and what experience you're gonna try to,
and being available.
Exactly, being available too. Yeah.
Just to to complete your thought, is luxury doesn't necessarily mean at the end of the day bling bling. I always equate, and it's always been my personal belief that I always equate luxury with authenticity, something that you're able to get that you're not going to be able to experience anywhere else in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So
let me see if
questions.
You have any questions? Sometimes people like post them and I just miss them, but I think we have covered a lot of great content here. I'm going to encourage people to watch this presentation after, because of that great video that Pina put together. And there are a lot of like golden nuggets throughout the video that if you pay attention to the message, you can translate a lot of those practical tips into what you're currently doing. And just like you said earlier, Marlon, this is the time to sit down and
Rethink the strategy.
Exactly, like and being very honest, with what you currently have. And I know sometimes it's difficult to, like, for us, like, let's say, cancel a program or an initiative that we were thinking of launching, or disconnecting ourselves from certain stuff that we were doing in the past or previous to COVID-19. And right now we're thinking about how we can deliver the best value. And I love what you said about rural businesses, because that's going to be one of the key targets that we're going to be trying to reach out through the U.S. Business Association of E-commerce that we're launching pretty soon.
Congratulations for that. I was going to.
Thank you. And I hope that we can collaborate on that project together.
Yeah.
But I have had the opportunity to travel, throughout California, and I always get very surprised with how much talent and how many successful entrepreneurs are in rural areas in California, but they have never invested the time in giving their products and services the visibility that they deserve. And I think right now, with the e-commerce boom that we're seeing, is a perfect opportunity to give rural entrepreneurs the respect and the visibility that they deserve.
You're right. Yeah. I hope that you can help with that.
So I don't know if you guys would like to add anything else before we go.
So I think the big takeaway here is that, primarily is take this moment, this opportunity, that it would allow us to reinvent ourselves and, to rethink of what is it that I'm able to do now moving forward. Mm-hmm. As an entrepreneur, you get in this particular cycle that you've been doing things, in such a way for a long time, but then, you hit pause, and it is an accidental pause. And then you're forced to rethink, I've been doing this for so long, but now I'm forced to do it this way. And I think it's to take that moment and turn it into a positive spin and say, okay, I'm going to explore what my business strategy is. I'm going to start, from a hyper local level. I'm going to collaborate with other, industry partners that I never thought of collaborating with, and reach out and see, hey, you know what? You're a writer. I have a restaurant. I have a great chef. Can you help me to tell this story? Mm-hmm. How you reach out to just create a sense of community. And at the end of the day, always think of how do we tell the experience and how do we remain authentic?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. No, I don't have anything to add, but that this has been great. And we hope that we can connect and collaborate more, Ontario and California. From the Latino perspective, this side of the world, connecting with you guys over there. Thank you so much again.
No, definitely. We will make that happen. And thank you guys for your time and for sharing your knowledge with us today. And I really look forward to collaborating with you in future projects.
And feel free to connect me with your industry colleague in the industry.
In Chicago, yes.
And for anybody that, is interested in reaching out to us and see how we can support them during these special times, we're here and we're available just with an email or a phone call.
Or a Zoom.
Yeah. We can't escape anyway. We have all the platforms available now.
And what I like about this time that we're living in is that people are getting more familiarized and more comfortable with technology.
Yeah.
It's going to be great for everyone.
I'm one of them.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Happy Friday and have a beautiful weekend.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.